a rock, I don't know, an inch, a 1 inch diameter rock going at 100,000 miles an hour, how big of a crater does that leave? I feel like that's going to be a pretty big.
Yeah, we can look it up. I looked up crater formation. It says there's been 180 craters detected larger than 10 meters, assuming radius, and that's over 7 years from the LRO. So that's 20
Should
to
be way
30
more.
new ones a year that they detect.
They should be happening daily, bro. Daily.
Well,
This is what
there's
they
a
say.
threshold. They do happen. There's thousands that happen. They're just not larger than like 10-meter diameter, which would be pretty hard to pick up, I would think, from Earth with like a P1000.
Wait, so Pfinky, are you saying that there's no time at which we should have seen something either hitting the moon or some kind of a dust cloud or something that would indicate that it is actually like a physical surface that has like independent motion, like rather than just an image?
No, well, yeah, I'm saying they've detected 180 new craters in the last 7 years that didn't exist before. So you could take a photo of a part of the moon, take a picture 7 years later, and see a new crater on it.
Have you seen that?
I can
Like,
pull up. I googled like the number that they have found. I don't have an actual image. I can see if I can pull up. Oh, it looks like Left Lane just posted one.
well, I was just asking if you had.
So Left Lane just posted, I guess I have now, but he posted a image of the lunar surface, and then you can see a new crater existing kind of in the middle right-ish area.
No, I'm saying, have you ever seen like a person take images of the moon and then later they took an image of the moon and it was actually different and then they compared it?
From Earth, I don't know. Like from Earth, you're not going to be able to detect as small as say what the LRO is doing. Is that that's what you're asking? Like a massive, like a Tycho-sized crater?
Well, I mean, Tycho size would be like you could see with your naked eye. Anywhere between like Tycho size and going all the way quite small. Yeah, and with the amount of zoom we have today, like you're zoomed
But
in. I mean,
is the question
you could
like
go to
just from
Tycho.
Earth?
You could go
Is
to
the question
Tycho
from
that's like
Earth?
hold
Sorry.
on, bro. You could zoom into Tycho, and if Tycho is like 37 miles wide, you could zoom into Tycho, and now you're zooming into like a 1 or 2 mile little portion of it.
Yeah. So is your question whether somebody from Earth has taken a before, like we have a before picture from Earth, after picture from Earth that shows a new crater?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And you're saying this one you don't, the one that, I don't know who took this one that Left Lane's posted, but you don't accept this one.
That one is from a little company called NASA. That's where that one's from. I'm
Is
not
it?
necessarily even contesting it. Well, not even that one, nor am I contesting whether the moon changes. I was just asking you, have you ever seen evidence for it? It was just more like an interview question. I'm not trying to contest things. I'm just
No.
asking.
Well, that's what I'm asking. What evidence specifically? And you're saying a like non NASA, are there any other like people on Earth that we would eliminate from that, or just NASA?
Well, yeah, NASA claims they're doing this orbital thing, so that's NASA. Yeah, I'm just saying, like someone like even like Seafoam, who like takes pictures of the moon all the time, and he zooms in, and he's got his telescope and all that. Yeah, just anyone independently. I was just asking, have you ever seen evidence of someone who is just showing genuine footage? Ideally, let's just say they don't work for the government; they're not government agents. Let's just try to say like someone independent from from that. So NASA's kind of off the for that one. I'm just saying, have you ever independently seen someone like Seafoam be like, hey, here's the moon, he's all zoomed in. And then a week later or a month later, or whatever, he's like, hey, look, I'm zooming in and it looks different now. That's what I'm saying. Something like that. Because
Right.
if it was true, you would think there would be thousands, if not millions of those cases all throughout history, throughout all the decades. If it was the case, everyone doing their, how many like zoomed in shots of people have taken on the moon over the last like 30, 40 years? It's like immense, you know?
Yeah. I mean, like we could probably. So the answer to your question, I haven't, at least not that I recall. But it's interesting. I'll see if I could find something that shows that.
I've seen some of what's like suggested, but I haven't seen
But
like really good documentation of it. And if it was
but
the
we
case, like amateurs should be able to pick that up easily.
but we don't have, access to observatories because we're talking about looking at something 50 yards across. You're talking about it's an observatory can see things 50 yards across. People with a massive, in university style telescope won't be seeing anything like a mile across, would be almost indistinguishable. And plus, you're not going to see the dust from something because it's a whole different. It'd be like a blur, which would make it even smaller,
Well,
more
if you
difficult
took
to
Tycho
detect.
Crater and you cut it into like 37 pieces, because it's like 37 miles. So if you chop Tycho Crater into 37 and zoomed into it, you're looking at a 1 mile little stretch of the moon at that point. If it was that size and all that. And one
Right.
mile, you can
Yeah, but
definitely
I
see
think
what's going on.
you could, but I think you're overestimating how often things hit the moon and create 1 mile or 50-mile wide craters.
Well, how big do you okay, what size
Think
all
about a
right, so
mile.
from your belief in whatever you think is happening with this, because the idea that things are hitting the moon, because like I said, like
We're seeing
do you
think
know
a few
any
feet of,
amateur that's ever documented it? But
but we're not
either
seeing.
way, what like in the last 50 years, what would be the biggest one that would have hit it?
What's the
That this
biggest one to hit? What's the biggest one to hit America, or I mean, this our world? Like,
they claim that ours doesn't get hit like that.
Yeah, it doesn't. We have an atmosphere where most of the shit burns up in it, allegedly.
we have some
So on the
big
moon
objects that
doesn't
hit.
lacks an atmosphere, therefore, boom.
Correct.
We're
They don't burn up.
surrounded by a force field that allows us to go light speed.
That
Well, I mean,
Superman put
some
here
things
back
come
in the
through,
40s.
right? We
I
have
think the
things that hit
biggest
the ground and make big holes.
We're
the
able to
biggest thing.
travel at ludicrous speeds into different
Okay,
dimensions.
listen to my statement. The biggest thing we can go work backward and say how much of that actually disintegrated on its way in, but I don't think these things would leave mile wide craters, and those would be difficult to see with the best telescopes amateurs have access to. What we're really seeing is things that end up in people's backyards, things that are size of big footballs. And what did they start out as? Maybe they could have been the size of a car or something, but they're not going to leave mile wide craters when they hit the moon.
I'm not even like fully convinced that rocks do fall from the sky, but it does seem like some people do have experiences where they like hear something in the woods and they go out and they find one of these things. So they may have a system where since they have all the high altitude like radar and satellites and all the tracking they need, they might just like launch them from the sky at times when like they know no one's around because they don't want to necessarily like hit people and make it a whole thing.
So maybe
Although
it's your.
you think they would though to make it seem more real because like it seems like if rocks were really falling from the sky, would have way more stories of like people being out and like got hit or like their animal got hit or whatever, and it's like a whole thing. There'd be like
They got their
footage of it.
barn.
Or just them hitting crazy stuff. Yeah, like just hitting. Let's say you have like a barn outside of like in a farm or something, and then just all of a sudden this huge rock like rips a hole in the ceiling of the barn. Like that would be happening. It seems like if rocks really did fall from the sky.
Yeah,
At
you think
some
there'd be
point they
more.
would hit crazy spots that are like, whoa, why did it hit there? And it would be more of a real thing, but it's like not. At the same time, there's stories of people that like, yeah, they hear things and then people do seem to find these things. So like I was just saying they could maybe like just track the areas and launch them where they know no one's at and figure that people will find them later. That is one theory.
Just to back up this whole fake space story, that's a lot of effort, I think, don't you?
No, they would do that for sure. No, that's easy.
Completely, everyone's just completely in on it. They're totally covering their tracks. They do meteors. They're doing things where no one can
Well,
actually
spiral.
find them. Pretty smart people. These conspirators. These
Launching
They have
satellites.
kind of there's some level of like a clever genius, but they're also like really kind of
dumb.
dull and they're
Dumb.
not very
They gave a
lacking
petrified
wisdom.
wood. They gave out petrified wood and claimed it was a moon rock.
What a ripoff! What a
That,
liar! That's a
that's how
national
dumb you
mistake.
have to imagine them to be.
They're on their way down. They already peaked.
They're like
They don't.
nobody will figure this one out.
Gio, I love your
Yeah,
enthusiasm.
that's easy to do. Yeah, launch stuff out of the sky and say it came from space. Like I said, they can have like drones that can be silent because they're either like electric or they might even have other technology. And they can be so high that like what we call the blue sky, it can be above the blue sky. So we cannot see them no matter how much you zoom in, but they're still flying up there. And so
They're
they could
hanging
just
out.
drop they can just drop something and we'll just see it come out of the blue sky. And we'll have no way to know where it came from because they're above the blue.
They're right on the firmament. They're right on the dome, sitting on a ledge
Right.
like a diving board, just waiting.
I got something for
It's
you.
not necessarily that, but you know, have you seen the high altitude balloon footage where they're above the blue? You know, and there's no blue. So you just have to be above the blue, and then everyone below is going to see you because when you go above it, the blue disappears. So if you're above that level where it disappears, then the other people can't see you, but you have to be high enough.
You're not in the blue anymore.
No, you're beyond it. Because
But
there's
do you
like a
have
layer that seems to look blue from when you're, it's like a luminary that like when you're under it on the earth, it looks totally blue, like our blue sky. But when you get up there, it disappears. It's just you and the black sky and the sun, all like close and like a local, seems like just extended plane
But
as
if you're
far as they
flying
can
there,
tell.
you could. Yeah. Okay.
So, Gio, I looked up the largest new lunar crater. It's probably the one that we were talking about before, but in 2013 there was one that had an impact flash with it. So we actually saw the flash, then we saw the crater. That one is 34 meters across. So there's basically no example of these like 60-kilometer, 50-mile craters. There's no new instances of those
Big ones.
in modern times.
So we're not going to see 30 meters from a handheld. On the observatory can see that, but people can't see it in their $10,000 telescopes.
Yeah, and I just think it's a reasonable thought. Like, okay, there's a football-sized thing and it's going, 100,000 miles an hour, and then we make assumptions about what that is or isn't going to do, but it's not going to leave. I don't think the physics of it would even predict that it would leave a 50-mile wide crater.
Yeah, they have the drop. That's
I
what
don't
the
think
drop.
anyone was saying that it would be a new 50-mile wide one. I mean, that would be, wait, that's even bigger than Tycho. Yeah, okay, I understand there would be, okay, in this theory of it all, it would have to be some level of like randomness where if you have this globe Earth and this moon, you're in space and all that, and then you have all this like stuff. But nonetheless, if that was the case, then yeah, the moon and Earth would be hit with a certain like statistical, array of different sized materials, so. You would think over time, like, yeah, whether you would see one like in your lifetime that was as big as Tycho or something, but you would think that in the whole history of like the human endeavor, that we would have like a lot of footage of the moon being hit and then changing from all different zoom levels instead of this like only being claimed with like LRO with like NASA. That's what I was saying. Like, is there any like independent people who can, because you can zoom in, like I said, even if you take Tycho and you take just one little portion of it, but you can still zoom into that. Even if you can zoom into a 1 mile portion, you zoom way in. Yeah, I mean, you were saying 34 meters, and when they were on the
That's a
moon,
lot smaller than a mile.
when they claimed to be on. Let me just finish. Last part, when they claimed to be on the moon, there was like all the dust kicking up from the rover, and then when they were walking around and all that stuff. So like even if something 34 meters hit, it would create a huge dust cloud, and you'd be able to see that like live on the face of the moon.
They would fall immediately.
I mean, did we see the dust cloud when the astronauts were there? Like what I'm not convinced that you would see and it would be obvious that there was a 30-meter wide dust cloud.
And it'd be there for such a short time because it'd be falling at
Well, the dust cloud would be way
6
bigger
meters per
than the
meter,
30 meters.
5 or 6 meters per second. Yeah.
If the thing that hit
Yeah.
it, even if they're
Snooze is
claiming 34 meters, the thing that hit it was 34, but it would make a dust plume that would be way larger than that. So if you're
But it
zoomed
wouldn't
into a
last for very long.
region, you would definitely be able to see it.
They're not saying the
last.
thing that hit it was that big. They're saying the crater was that big.
Yeah, the crater's got to be big, and the dust cloud's going to be big too. But the dust cloud's going to dissipate 3 meters per second, falling 3 meters per some huge acceleration up, and as it fell down, however high it went up, it could be very high, but it would be done in a few seconds. So
And
Yeah,
for
saying that-
context, Snooze posted, well, let me read Snooze's thing. He said, a 10-meter telescope has a 10-meter size mirror, a 10 meters telescope diameter. And he says the best that will do from Earth is 26 meters, meaning 26 meters will be effectively 1 pixel.
Yeah, but I mean, think of 26 meters. Like that's a puny fucking asteroid.
That's
Puny.
the crater.
No,
The
no, the
asteroid's
crater
small.
you could detect way bigger than that. The asteroid side is gonna a
Well, you
small
could.
asteroid is gonna create a bigger fucking crater because it's
Yeah, I don't think this is
ChatGPT
too
saying.
small. This is not too small here because it would blow your whole house out, you know? So I mean, if you were at 35,000 feet or just whatever, you could see a whole house just poof gone, you know?
Thirty-five
It's
Yeah,
thousand feet, not 250,000 miles.
it's saying a
Yeah,
25
yeah.
to 50-meter object creates a 500-meter crater on the
Yeah,
moon.
and we haven't seen
Okay,
any of those.
so the
Even
object, just to see the crater, you will see the crater with
But
a
have you
Google it.
seen
smaller
any of them
object.
though, Zanuck? Have you seen any features on the moon ever change with
No,
your own eyes that
no,
indicate that it is like an earthen type of world, an earthen
no.
type world?
The only thing, like we was since the when we saw the flash, then they went with the reconnaissance mission. They actually saw that crater left. It was very small. We wouldn't even be
We
able to
can't
detect
see
it
it.
with our telescopes. Probably we can't
Impossible.
see it. If not, we can't see it. No,
Even
too
with
small.
$100,000 of any equipment you need, can't do it.
Oh,
No,
Yeah, that's what
you're getting
Snooze is
much better
saying.
when
Snooze
once
is
you get
saying
to
like you have a
100,000.
10
it's
meter, like a 10
one
meter
pixel. Looking
mirror.
at a pixel.
No, that's
That
not
is
true, dude. Why do you keep
unfalsifiable.
saying that?
100% unfalsifiable right there.
No, you can look at the optic. You should look at the optics of a 10-meter telescope and say, what would it be able to resolve at this distance?
Dude, that's massive, bro. I'm using a budget right now of fucking 50K with it's like a 24-inch telescope. You guys are onto 10-meter telescopes, bro. You'd
Observatories
see
can
a
only be
I
hamster
know.
24.
scratching
What
its
what
balls on the
what
moon.
can you resolve with yours? What's your
It's saying
what
it's saying a 500-meter to 1 kilometer crater you would be able to resolve. You would
with
see
your telescope, right?
it's say this is what you could easily detect the flash. You might barely resolve the largest resulting craters near 1 kilometer, but you still wouldn't see detailed structure forming in real time. But you would be able to see the difference. That's like the key point. You'd be able to see a flash and then a new crater afterwards. You might
Well,
not be able to
The
see the events happening, right? But you
you need
would be
multiple
like, all right,
pixels.
that's where the flash was. Okay, log it. Oh shit, there's a new crater there compared to yesterday.
You might
Exactly.
go
That's a
equate the.
$50,000 setup. And that's
Stop talking.
24-inch telescope. You dudes are on like 10-meter telescope.
I have a question.
You know you can see
I
the
know you're
map.
missing the point. You're missing the point,
How
Rigor.
many? Yeah, you're missing the point totally. Tell me how many
What point?
pixels that would be. If you have 3 pixels, and you might be able to tell, yeah, it's a darkened area. It was not there before. Yeah, we think that's a crater. You're not seeing like, wow, I see this miniature little crater, and it's so small, but I can see it. No, you're making
So you're
details
just
out of
gonna
it.
move this
That's not.
goalpost out to
Hold
no
on,
man's land?
because you need
How many
You need.
pixels?
Why do you continue to
Zanuck,
talk
let's just
over
say
everybody?
Zanuck, let's just say it's 8K.
8K.
That's not
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not a
it's not
resolution of a
resolution.
telescope.
Yeah.
The point is like Rigor said 1 kilometer. That we there's been no 1 kilometer craters. So he's imagining something that doesn't happen. The largest recent craters are 30 meters, and Rigor's not going to see those with his telescope. It's going to be 1 pixel.
Well,
Yeah,
you can
well,
see a
there you
pixel.
go. Unfalsifiable. You're saying I can't see this, but with the 10-meter, now you're on a 10-meter telescope, and you're saying it can't happen. I don't agree with that.
It'll be 1 pixel on a
Boy,
10 meter. Due to optics, it'll be the 30 meter crater will be 1 pixel on that.
So you can have a
all
darkened
right,
pixel.
Pfinky,
And
let's
you're
all
going to
right.
see that's a
Even if
crater.
we take your 1 pixel, it seems like you would still be able to see something. But let's just
What do you
okay.
mean?
Then
How do you see with 1 pixel? Why do you see with
let me
an
ask you this: then of all the like highest quality
or
telescopes
pixels?
in the world, you know, and all the massive ones they have, the multi-million-dollar. Like, let's go to the multi-million-dollar ones. Can they see the surface of the moon ever live, recorded, being hit with something or an impact, seeing an actual like
Flash.
physical reaction? Well, no, you should see like dust coming up, and you should see clouds
How can you
forming and
see dust when the
shapes
resolution
evolving.
is 1 pixel?
You do see the flash, yes. Like you would see that, but like I'm with Zanuck. The dust cloud's not gonna it's not gonna span out beyond a pixel.
So let's go to the multi-million-dollar telescopes. I'm saying not just a $10,000 thing.
I
You can
think
buy.
that's what I don't know, but I think that's what we're talking
That's
about.
what
I
we're
think
talking
a
about.
10
20.
there's a 10 meter mirror in a
Yeah. Do
telescope.
the math.
Like
Do the
you're not buying that at Hobby Lobby.
yeah. Do the
Well, then something's just
I feel
not
like
something's not
do the
working.
math on the angular resolution.
All right, so let's ask something, right? Because you're saying these craters, these things that create craters big enough to see, never happen. okay, can you zoom into craters? Like a fucking huge amount of craters currently on the moon and resolve them from Earth.
Yeah, big old huge
500
ones.
Okay,
mile,
okay. So
500 mile
therefore, we
craters.
can establish that these craters are common enough to imprint the entire moon with craters that we can resolve. Right? We can
Mhm.
get that far with it.
Craters.
Yeah, we
There
have a
are
lot
All
of
right.
craters
tons
Now,
of
can
those
we
huge
figure
ones.
out the
hundreds
size
of
of these
miles across.
craters? Right?
Hundreds of
Can
miles
we
across.
can we figure out of all the craters we can see, we can get an average and be like, all right, this is the average size of impact of the ones we can resolve from Earth. And then build the telescope to fit that, right? And just zoom in, right? Get a bunch of telescopes to do that and zoom into all the parts of the moon. And then you have like a composite makeup of a bunch of different telescopes encapsulating the entirety of the moon, and then just fucking press record. Observe
Yeah,
it.
we'll just you don't even need
All
you don't
right,
need to
and then
zoom
you
in.
easily,
Hold on. Okay,
eventually,
hold
you're
on.
gonna find
I
something.
agree. Yes,
Exactly.
if you
Yeah.
don't even need
We're
that, just
collectively
zoom.
doing that every day.
Hold
by
on,
the
hold
way.
on. Let me go. You don't even need to zoom in. Just put one camera on the moon, put it full frame, and we'll just wait until we get a 1,000-mile wide crater that gets created.
No.
It's
I
easy.
want to get.
We'll just
I
wait
want to
for it.
get
It might
something
take,
smaller.
200
No, I want.
million
Stop
years,
making it
but
obnoxious,
eventually
right?
we'll get it.
No. I want to take an average of what's already hit the moon because I know that's actually what's been happening and the size, the average things of what hits the moon, right? And maybe even go like a little bit more. Be like, all right, well, the average size is about fucking 10 kilometers. All right, well, let me drop it down to like, I want to set the equipment up for like maybe instead of 10 kilometers, I'm going to go to like something like maybe 6 or 7 kilometers wide. And I'm going to set up the entirety of the moon and record it and be like, okay, what changed? And then you could like print up the images from one day to the next and have somebody be like, what's the differences between these images?
You're just not getting it. You're not getting what a pixel means. You can do all that, multiple telescopes all next
You're
to
not
each
saying
other.
anything. You're not even
I
addressing
am,
what I'm
because
saying.
a pixel is
No.
something you cannot decide what's in it. If you have 3 of them, you still can't decide what it looks like, and you
And I'm
certainly
not
can't see
talking about
dust.
a pixel. I'm not talking about a pixel.
It seems like you
A
are.
single pixel? That's not what I'm talking about.
No, he's
Something
not. What
completely
Rigor's
different.
saying is that since there's a lot of craters that are 10 kilometers across, we should see a new one of those get created soon.
Yeah,
That's what
Right.
I was
And
asking. Like,
yeah,
even that's what I was
That's his
asking.
point,
That,
and it's
hold
a
on, that's
bad
what I was
point.
asking in
Yeah.
that's what I was trying to ask earlier. That like in the relation to the belief system that this is all happening, because I know that like I mean no one in here has like absolute validation of like any of a lot of these things, these components of like how many things are actually hitting the moon at the end of the day or hitting the earth. Like it is kind of, but in that belief system of that's what I was asking before. Like in the last 50 years, what would the statistics predict? Like how often do they claim a 10-mile wide one happens? How often do they claim a 5-mile wide, 30-mile wide, like etc. How often do they claim that these happen? And shouldn't in the last 50 or 100 years, shouldn't we have several like larger size ones?
it depends on how old
Can
you
I?
say the moon is. So
We
if you are a naturalist, you'll say the moon is billions and millions of years old. So the number of craters on the moon over that amount of time, the likelihood that we will see one that's significant in our lifetimes, since we've had optical telescopes, is slim. And if even if the moon is only 10,000 years old, then it's still pretty slim.
Yeah,
catch me up a
Gio, what I
little
said a
bit
minute
here.
ago is that in 7 years, we've had the biggest one we've had is 50 meters across. We've had 0 of these huge craters that you guys are wanting to see.
And then that was with the LRO. I mean, the LRO seems to be missing from the conversation. Is that on purpose? Am I just missing something?
Well,
It's just
they don't really like the
They don't
LRO
like it.
because it's
Okay,
from
but I mean, but
NASA.
let's be clear. That's how we know.
No one
That's how
said
we
no
saw
one. No one
that
said they didn't like any of it. It was brought
what
up,
logical
posted.
fallacy is that, though?
Yeah, I mentioned it. Someone else had mentioned it. Well, someone else mentioned it
Because
first, and I mentioned it as well.
but because it comes from
But
NASA,
we
it's
were
not
we were we were
acceptable. What
talking
is that
about like
fallacy?
any independent people that were able to show that the moon has actually changed.
different countries, right? I mean, India, China, other countries, companies now, the Firefly people. I mean,
Have you ever seen the
have
moon
But
change?
not
fiduciary
from the ground.
responsibility to
That's
their
kind of the point, John.
stockholders.
Like
What
Sorry?
John,
he's
have you ever
asking,
seen
John,
the moon?
is he's asking like, have we taken pictures from Earth of the moon where we've shown it before and after? And The answer is no. Like the only reason we see these new ones is because the LRO is close and can resolve things that we can't resolve from Earth. But I don't know, maybe
Right.
you know some I
That's
don't.
Yeah, that's right. We don't see any change. I mean, as you said, I think this new crater like 7 years ago that LRO found, and I think it's on the backside. The astronauts saw it as they were going around. Is as you said, I think about 50 meters or maybe 60 or something. That's
Yeah,
the biggest one we've seen.
if you
New
take the
one.
calculation of what's the probability of us in our lifetime seeing or being around when something significant hits the moon, just cut that number in half, because if it hits backside the moon, we're not seeing it anyway.
All right, so John,
Yeah,
my
so
question was earlier. Hold on, John, if you want to answer it. So, have you ever seen anything with the looking at the moon with all the zooming and telescopes and in your whole life? Have you ever seen the moon ever actually indicate that it is like an Earth type world? What I mean by that is that there's rocks, there's mountains, there might be a little
Oh yeah,
dust that stirs up. Have you ever actually seen the moon like when the moon itself like
I'd say yes.
change or
I mean,
like
all you
actually?
have.
Other than
Right.
just
Every
scintillation or like just little atmospheric like wavering. I'm not talking about that, but the actual surface like act as if it is like an actual physical kind of world as it
Of
were.
course. Yeah,
everything about it says that.
you can see it. I mean, the clearest indication is just looking at the Terminator, where the sun is setting. When the sun is setting, you can see the shadows. You can see that there are really tall mountains on the moon. The rims of craters and things cast very, very prominent shadows. You can almost see them with your naked eye, and it's easy with binoculars or telescope or my P1000. My P1000 can take up, and I have a 950, sorry. I think the smallest thing I can see is a crater about 50 kilometers. I'd have to look at that again.
Same as your eye.
Yeah, but I mean, when you look at the
Yeah.
Terminator, it's very clearly the sun setting over a mountain range, and that position changes, right? The Terminator moves as the sunset moves, as it does on Earth, and you can see the shadows of the craters at the Terminator.
Okay, so I hear you. That is technically a different argument, but I do hear you on that. That's a slightly different topic. I was saying, have you ever like seen it like interact, like as like a live surface that seems to have like loose dust
Of
in
course
any way?
not. I mean, dust? No, don't see dust. How would you see dust? The smallest thing I can see is like 50 kilometers. Dust is smaller than that.
Well, if you were on a 50 kilometer, had a 50 kilometer view, they claim that you can see like let's say 250 miles radius when you're at like 35,000 feet. So that's way within the 50 kilometers, obviously, or,
Well,
way larger.
oh yeah,
So that would
well,
just
the
be like a small
LRO.
portion.
Sorry,
And
sorry.
yeah, you could see it. Like if you were doing that over like Arizona, and if there was like a little dust storm or like there'd be a lot of things that would like, or it would even like erode over time. There'd be like pile up of different sand in different areas. Like it would actually change
The
in a 50
LRO
50
has a
kilometer region.
resolution of about 1 foot, so they can see fairly small rocks, right? Boulders that you'd have in your yard for decoration. The LRO can resolve that. Not dust, but small rocks. Boulders, small boulders.
So
Why
the
do you
only
keep
ones that
saying
so
right?
the only ones that can do this are NASA, who are essentially government
No,
agents, and
no,
you that's who you're trusting
no,
for
that's
that.
not true.
Anybody that can
India,
orbit
Magic
China,
camera.
satellite.
now companies that have
Yeah,
fiduciary
magic one.
responsibility to their stockholders are doing this.
Making
Through
money off
NASA.
magic.
Through NASA, yeah. So I mean, you're just
Not
citing NASA
NASA. That's
basically for this, because that would
Firefly's not
technically
NASA.
be an appeal
No,
to
that's not
authority.
what he said. He
If you're
just said
saying it's true,
he
just
said
because it's
all
NASA,
other countries
you're
and
saying that.
private companies.
Private companies that have fiduciary responsibilities. If they lie to their stockholders, they're in big trouble with the SEC.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Just like science. Yeah, all the scientist guys get in trouble for changing their mind every day for 70 years. You guys say such the weirdest stuff.
all right, so it says a 10 to 20 meter object will create a 200-meter crater, and we can resolve a 200-meter crater from the Earth on the moon. And then I asked,
So we
how
just need to
often
wait.
does
We
that
just got to
happen?
wait till
It
one.
says,
We just got to wait
please
till one of
just let
those
me
guys
finish.
hits
Just
the moon.
please let me finish. Just please. Then I said, how often does it hit the moon? right? It says once every 1 to 5 years, somewhere on the moon. Okay, so now I'm looking at, all right, 1 to 5 years, that's the probability. Cut that in half, do the visual, surface area, and then I'm gonna go with how long have we been taking pictures of the moon, and what on the moon has changed? Like what crater that we can resolve? How small of a crater, and then be like, well, what's changed since then? Because if the
We've
answer
been
is nothing, I'm gonna be like, well, nothing's fucking
Resolution.
hitting the moon.
the first
How long's
answer
the
is we've been
LRO been up
taking
there?
pictures of the moon since
The
pictures
resolution
and
that
cameras
we
have been
need
invented.
has only been a recent, capability. So, 100 years ago, forget it.
Okay, all right, so 50 years ago, what could we resolve?
Nothing. It's 50
Nothing.
years ago. They're nowhere near. Yeah, they're nowhere near what
All
we've
right, so
got.
nothing. We couldn't see the moon. Okay, good. Moon didn't exist
No.
50 years ago.
Well,
All right, how
put it
about
like
40 years
put it
ago?
like this. Put it like this, Rick.
No.
He's
I'm
not
just asking a
listening to you.
question,
Put it
dude.
like
I
this.
don't need you
He's
to
not
like.
going to answer it. He wasn't even listening
Yeah,
to what you said.
I'm
yeah.
listening.
I don't need you to
put it-
just be dishonest with your answers,
put it-
right? And just talk out your ass like you know what you're talking about. Just give legit answers or what you think. Like 40 years ago, what would you say we could resolve on the moon?
We have no idea. Nobody knows. Do you want to? Well, I can look it up if you want.
Well,
Yeah,
you're
you
How
can
saying,
did
look
they
it up.
make a
you're telling me
replica
that
of
we
it?
couldn't resolve it, and now you're saying we don't know. All right.
How long has the lunar
Yeah, I would
reconnaissance
appreciate
orbiter
if
been
you're
up
gonna
there?
say we couldn't resolve something to know why we couldn't resolve it.
Well, because we didn't
And
have
then
the LRO.
Okay,
go
what could
tell
we
the guy who
resolve?
made a replica of it that you
Very,
couldn't
very
resolve
little.
it.
Yo,
But
can
I'm
That's
I
why
just
they
say
confused
sent
because
this?
Rigor
Apollo sent
from your little
Apollo.
It's
thing that
impossible,
you
dude. It's
did.
impossible with
It
you
sounds
guys.
like we
You
should
just
have.
reject shit endlessly.
Apollo sent missions around the moon to get a closer look at the moon because there's no way they could get a good enough resolution to find a spot to land. They actually
Hey,
sent capsules up there with people to see where to land. They could do it from the ground. Does that answer the question? Second thing, which you wouldn't let me
No, it
answer,
doesn't.
but I'll say it anyway. The second thing is the fact that we can't resolve things that in any great detail, even with the largest telescopes that you could possibly go and buy somewhere,
I didn't say great
says that the
detail
moon
either.
is quite distant. That's what it says.
okay, so if you break the moon, this is actually rounding up because it's like 8.8. But if you take the moon, if you take 1/9 of the moon, a little bit less than 1/9, but let's say about 1/9 of the moon. So you take the moon when it's a full moon, you split it into 9 sections. You take one of those sections and you zoom into it. You're now looking at about a 250-mile wide little strip of the moon. And that's what they claim you can see at 35,000 feet on a commercial airline. So essentially, if you're on a commercial airline at 35,000 and it's a clear day, all that land you can see is what you're doing when you're zooming into 1/9 of the moon. And if you're zoomed in that much, you'll be able to see most of what's happening there within a 250 mile, especially when you can even zoom in more than that. So,
But
you
so do you
dividing
think
it?
in a plane, when you're in a plane, do you think you can see something on the ground that's 18 meters?
well, I mean, if you can see like a 250-mile radius, that's like a 500-mile circle region of Earth. And then if you're looking straight down, you're only looking at like at that point, a fraction of that 500-mile. You might only be looking at like a little 10-mile little area. But
Yeah,
yeah,
10
you can
miles. But do you think you
see
think you could
most
see
things
something
happening.
that's
Yeah,
10
especially if you
meters?
can zoom in. Yeah, if you're I mean, you got the window on a commercial airline, which is often kind of like warped. But I mean, if you can have like the airplane like turn on its side, like start like, tilting or whatever, so you can get a really clear shot of the ground through like, instead of like the warp part of the bottom of the window, you can like go look straight through the window. Or if you're banking, you can do it during that too. But yeah,
But
because if you just
the
have to
issue is
angle it
like
down, I
when
realize there's
you
like the window, but I mean, you can zoom in a lot. Yeah. I mean, take a P900 on an
10 feet.
airplane.
Human resolution, human eye resolution at commercial airliner flight is about a 10-foot object. That's 1 pixel essentially. But yeah,
There you go.
P1000 you can. And by the way, when I said
10
before, I
feet,
just
Pfinky.
checked my P950 can 1 pixel on the moon is a little more than a mile. That's what 1 pixel is. I really misspoke when I said 50 kilometers before, but it's a mile. And a really good telescope. Not only, I mean, it's not much better, frankly, than a P1000, but it is like maybe 10 times, maybe 100 times better. But so that gets it down to maybe I think a 1 pixel in the best telescope now is maybe 30 feet. on the moon. So you can't resolve, for instance, the Apollos, which have all been photographed by multiple countries with lunar orbiters.
Oh, if you can
So
see
I asked,
30 feet, then that would be well within the 34 meters.
Yeah,
Pfinky was
right.
saying
And
34-meter meteorites hit the
that's
moon.
right. That's right.
yeah,
But I think it
asked
is.
ChatGPT
So we should
something.
be able to see it, and we don't have any
Yeah, but
footage
there's
of it.
only
That's the
one of
question.
those that's happened, and it was on the backside, and we did see it. We know when it happened because the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter photographs the entire surface of the moon twice a month.
Yeah, but when you say we, you're basically talking about NASA, right? A government agency?
I am in that case, but I don't know what the other orbiters. Other countries have orbiters that are doing the same thing.
Okay, so just someone else's CIA, and that passes for
Okay,
you?
if you like. I mean, I'm not going to fight you on that. I'm just saying.
Well, I'm saying you do trust governments?
Yeah,
Like,
I don't trust governments, but I use my brains. I don't let I don't you know I don't I'm not so so skeptical that I let my brains fall out.
so you trust some things from government, but not other things? Is that?
I trust NASA. NASA has never done anything to make me not trust them.
Are you serious? For real?
Yes, I'm serious. Yeah, for real.
So
Oh my
I
God.
just threw up. I just
Are
threw up
you
in my mouth a
kidding
little
me?
bit.
I
I literally just threw up in my mouth.
can I hop in real quick?
Dude,
I
what
asked,
the?
how long have we been able to detect 200-meter craters? Since somebody was telling me, like, yeah, that's not a thing. So it says since the 1960s to 1970s, when the first high-resolution lunar orbiters flew.
That sounds right. But there's only
Okay.
been one, and it
So we
happened
have
only
how
one
many
that
years
size, and it
of
was on the
nothing
back.
changing versus the probability of 1 in 5 years?
I
Oh,
don't know about
that's
the
a
1 in
problem.
5 years. All I know
Yeah,
is that we have
that's the
seen
probability
one.
of a crater that size forming.
Well, that's what
So
you
you
say.
cut
You're
that in half.
relying on
Find it.
AI. I don't
You
know.
Yeah,
find it.
you cut it.
How many-
It's
The one that
But
irrelevant
Rigor,
hit
how many
source.
of those have we seen thus far?
hit the
We've been
back
doing
of
it for
the
7
moon.
years.
Kind
No
of
new
odd, isn't it?
that I know of.
It's about
You're
a
gonna have to.
50-50 chance that it would
You're
hit
gonna
the
have to
back,
point
I
out
think,
the new
if I'm
craters.
doing my math correctly.
Because that's what we're after. We're like
Good
trying to
Lord.
say within this window since 1960, like the just say 70, since 1970 to the current time, we have a number date, and we say within that number, what's the probability of new craters that we can detect forming? And the probability can be whatever it is, but the result is 0.
Right? We've seen one.
Very, very few.
Yeah, the
Very,
probability is
very
like 1 in
few
5 years.
meteors
One,
flying through the
1 to
air.
5 years.
Very few
Fucking hell, dude. Really?
impacts. Like, my God, it's freaking whack.
Won't hash out my argument.
All right, so John, if you say things can be seen within 30 feet with even like equipment that we can buy like ourselves, let alone what the other telescopes would have that would even have better than that. Why do you think it is that we've never seemed to seen any like live footage or live images of the moon, changing before our eyes, and then being able to validate that at every point after that the moon looked different?
Well,
Meaning
first
that
of all,
like,
let's
1995 it looked one way, and then after this thing happened, a year later, 1996, now it looks this way. The moon has permanently changed for all of humanity. Do you have any evidence of that?
so evidence. I guess I'm not sure. I thought you were asking me a different question. Ask again.
I might have said kind of two things, but just however you want to respond.
Well, so I was just going to say, I mean, once again, my camera, the P950, has a resolution of 1 arc second. I think the best telescopes now, the biggest telescopes now, have a resolution of maybe less than 1/10 of an arc second, maybe 100th. I don't know. Maybe somebody else knows. There is a new, the largest telescope ever built is at least being proposed, and it's supposed to have a resolution 200 times as good as my P950. That comes at a pretty great cost. But I don't know what that necessarily translates. It's going to be on Earth, and so that's a big problem because the atmosphere, turbulence in the atmosphere causes problems with actually being able to resolve. So it has a resolution that small, but whether it'll be able to see things or not depends a lot on atmospheric conditions. So, and what does that translate to? That translates, so my 1 arc second translates to a mile, 100th of an arc second would translate to 50 feet. This one is a half of a hundredth of an arc second, so that would be 25 feet. In perfect atmosphere, if the Earth didn't have an atmosphere, then a pixel would be like 25 feet. So it would be able to probably make out a crater 100 feet across, right? It needs to be a lot bigger than a pixel to be able to see it as a crater and not just a dark spot, right, on the moon, or a light spot or something like that. So 100 feet across. And I think, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, I
200
think there
meters,
have
dude.
only,
That gives you 50 to 100. Yeah. Oh,
well, I
maybe.
don't know. So I'll have to look into the statistics. I think you've asked AI and it said one thing, and that may or may not be correct. I believe that the statistics are that since the LRO has been up, and that's been 15 years, no, 20, yeah, 15 years, I think, 17 years. Since 2009, the LRO has been mapping the entire moon twice a month, every month. And I think in that much time, there's been one, or somebody said maybe another smaller one, a 200-foot across one, and maybe 130 feet across or something. But that's from an orbiter, right? If you want to image the moon, you want a camera at the moon. You don't want to use cameras on the Earth.
Yet when they went to the claimed to go on this Artemis 2 thing, there were people that were replicating the same thing from Earth.
Well, there were people who saw them, saw them flying to the moon, right? You've seen those things, right?
I'm saying that like they were showing the
believe it.
Artemis
I know you don't
images, and
believe it.
people were just showing like what they did with their own telescope, and it's like
Yeah,
no better
amateur
than what an
telescopes,
amateur can do with a
astronomers
telescope.
actually seeing the Orion capsule flying through the star field. Yeah, I know you don't
That's a
believe that.
separate
Maybe
thing.
I'm a little skeptical too. Maybe I'd have to be kind of convinced that's really what they saw. But they pointed their telescope where NASA said the Orion capsule was, and they saw it.
There was a light that.
Yeah.
He's not
Okay.
even.
You
Has
don't
anyone ever
believe
not
they
even
were
said that you
listening.
tracking
He's
that?
not
sound
even
just like McToon? Like, are you McToon, dude?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
McToon
people
Jr.
always say that. That's so interesting to me. Is that? It's
He
funny.
talks
I don't
just like
hear it
him,
at
has
all.
the same
But
cadence, everything.
yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I swear.
I don't
Do you
hear
think
it.
that
I
guy?
don't hear it at
Do you think
all.
that guy was wrong? That dude that
I want to
comes
be
in here
like
and
Michael
said
Jordan.
he was actually recording the shuttle. Do you think he could actually because I was arguing with these guys saying I don't think you could physically resolve that. I don't think it's possible at that distance.
The shuttle or the Orion?
No, the Artemis.
Artemis, yeah, right. Yeah, no, well, it's not. You don't resolve it. There's no way you resolve it. That's not the point. You see it, you don't resolve it.
Because it reflects light.
Right.
Yeah.
It's shiny.
What would you actually see though?
Light.
What's the point of light?
A constant light?
I think at least one guy said something about it changing in brightness, but I don't remember.
Dude, there's no way. There's no way you get a constant light.
Because
No, dude, they just flew
you
some.
shouldn't.
Okay, you know how they do the ISS thing? They just had like whatever the tech they're using. They just did this for the Artemis thing. So I know that they think it would like because they basically just had a light match what the path was going to be, so that people could zoom into it and see a light, but you can't see any more than that. I'm just saying they're already doing like whatever the ISS thing is already doing that rate of speed across the sky. So we could get into like what that is, but all they would have to do is just put a little dot of light basically that would match what they were telling everybody was happening.
Yeah.
Well, but you can.
Because once
but
it
you
got
can
far
image-
away, you
satellite.
couldn't
Wait, so
see
they
it.
launched a
image.
satellite with a light on it?
I mean, I have a
Trust us, that's the Artemis in the sky.
But I have a
Okay.
friend who's taken pictures.
That's just part of the magic
space,
trick.
of the space station. You can image the space station and see the solar panels. That's easy. You can do that with a camera. You can point a camera, especially if you're willing to kind of like take frames and stack them and get a very clear picture of the International Space Station with its solar panels, where NASA tells you it's going to be. You stand out there, you wait for it to come over. At the time that NASA says it's coming here, you take a picture of it, and it looks like what we think the space station looks like.
Dude,
Didn't
you can
SE do that?
exacerbate it the same way as McToon. It's crazy. Like you run out of breath in the same way. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Jared
Same
did that.
exact
Jared
cadence.
did
I
that.
call him McToon Jr.
For real.
To his
Same
credit,
Maybe he's
argument,
Mc-
same,
hey, maybe
same
he's
way of
McToon-
arguing,
maybe
same like
he's, McToon Senior.
extension, same tangent, patterns.
To-
It's
to
like they
Jared-
grew up in the same neighborhood,
Nah,
So
John's way more
went to the
serious than
same
Toon.
schools, had the same mentors.
to Jaren's credit, he did go out there with a camera, and NASA said it's going to be passing by you in between you and the moon this time on this day. And he went out there and he captured it. He captured about six or eight frames, I think, of it going across the moon. It looked like a TIE fighter, actually.
How many pixels was it?
Exactly. Yeah, I remember the TIE fighter.
Yeah.
It looked just like
Yeah,
Darth Vader's little ship. And
yeah.
dude, come on, man. Like,
Wait,
No, it was real.
mil a day.
Listen,
60 mil
to
a day.
Jaren's credit,
Make a little thing in the sky that looks to match it, like a little
That travels
bit. Like, come on, man.
17,000 miles an
Wait,
hour.
wait,
That
wait,
travels
wait.
17,000 miles an hour,
So-
too.
To Jaren's credit, listen, to Jaren's credit, he also said if he came back from TFE saying that NASA was a real and everything that he had got. So,
He got.
Yeah, he said before if he goes and comes back saying that the Earth was not a flat plane and that NASA was not lying and all this, that he had got.
So he has got. So
No, he
Yeah.
did say
want to
that.
go.
He did
Jaren
say
didn't
that.
want to
He
go. Yeah, but
he said
He
that's
did
the way
say
you'll know
that.
that he's like a controlled op, yeah,
Compromised.
or that he
At least
got taken.
compromised.
if you
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
compromised.
because he was so sure about flat Earth. Here's the thing, though. Jaren wouldn't go on his own because he thought he'd be offed. He thought he would be offed. So he insisted that someone, I think it was just, or someone, and it was Whitsitt that ended up going with him. But he insisted on someone coming with him because he was afraid. He was afraid for his life. That was
Of course.
interesting.
So, don't you think that it's interesting too, though, that he said, if I come back saying all these things and that NASA isn't lying, because he used to be the king of disseminating NASA videos. He had a whole episode of like, hours and hours of disseminating NASA's BS. And he said, if I come back and I say that the Earth is a ball and that NASA is not lying, then you know I got. That I got.
don't think
kinda
he.
like,
I don't think he said that. Do you know where he? Do you have a reference for
he
that?
did.
Because I
I
don't
would
think he
did
like
say
said
that.
Dude, the week
Okay, hold on,
leading.
though. It's
the
kind of
week
like I watched
leading
this
up-
documentary. I watched this documentary recently. It's the FLDS. You know, they have the plural wives and they have sex with underage kids and all that stuff, right? Well, if you watch if you watch
Why are
the
you going to
wives,
this? What?
just listen, dude. Just listen. If you listen to the wives, like before, like when they're with him, they're like super into it, and they're like, "I would never like betray you. You are like the prophet of God," and all this stuff. And then once they get out of it, and they get away from this guy that's controlling them, then yeah, they sing a different tune. And it would be weird to go back and say, "Wait, well, back then you said
This
that
is such
you
a
would never
reach, dude.
betray him, so you're a person of like poor morals or whatever."
I don't know
right?
what the
Like,
fuck
people
he's
change their
talking
mind.
about.
Dude, that is
What is he
in
fucking
no
talking
way
about?
comparable, because
It is.
prior
It's
to
like-
him going, he didn't have to go. First of all, it's not like he's being forced to go to TFE. He chose to go, so it's not comparable to wives that you're saying about Warren Jeffs. In fact, most of them still believe in Warren Jeffs. It was only
That's
a few
true,
number of people that came out against him, and it wasn't. Most of those weren't even his wives. They still defend him. He's
Well,
still in jail running the FLDS.
I'm
So
I'm
your
not talking about Warren
comparison just
Jeffs. There's a
doesn't hold
more
water.
there's
It
a
is
more recent documentary on
There was-
Netflix about
There
it.
was
it is
no
the same in
threat
one respect.
against Jaren. There
It
was
is the same in
no
one
threat.
respect.
Yo, Red Cloud.
It
He's
is the
not
same
done
in one
Yeah,
talking.
respect
dude.
in that
Can I
Red
finish
Jaren
my
came back
sentence?
and
Holy
denounced
shit,
Flat
man.
Earth.
Red Cloud,
Jaren came
hello.
back and denounced Flat Earth, and then
Hello, Red
Whitsitt came
Cloud.
back and is still a
You
Flat Earth.
can't
So
hear us,
it
Red
is
Cloud. Can you hear people? Yeah, it sounds like you have people turned down.
like who?
Dude, I was just in the middle of saying something. You just kept talking through me.
I apologize.
Yeah.
Oh, you can hear him now?
And then Beasticles
Now it's here,
tried
yeah.
to break it up. You can't hear Beasticles either.
Can you hear me?
Come on. I'll be back.
Everyone,
No, not restart. Shut up.
All
Usually
I'm
it's
saying
obviously
is that's
Discord. It's obviously Discord's fault.
He
Guys.
obviously
Yeah.
could hear him if he heard him, and he apologized.
But
yeah.
can we get the reference for Jaren saying that? I don't think Jaren ever said that, frankly.
So okay, he did say this like the weeks leading up to.
No,
As far as I
definitely
know,
not
and now,
then. Definitely not then. It would have had to have been before, because in the weeks leading up to, he was telling people that he wasn't going to lie to them about what he saw there. That's what he was saying.
I know he did, and he was also saying that because he was saying that if it comes back and see the sun, then I'm going to be wrong about there being a 24-hour sun. But if I come back and start saying that it's a ball and NASA, he said, if I come back saying that NASA is telling the truth and that we went to the moon, you can know that I've been compromised.
Oh, well, now
He did
Mr.
say
your
that.
story's a little different now,
He
and
did
maybe
say
that's the
that.
case. But I don't think he said
I'm
that either.
How about we
not.
find
No,
the
he did.
video? We can put it all to rest instead of saying, "Oh, I think he did. I think he didn't." Why don't we just
Wait,
see what he said?
it doesn't matter. Like,
So-
look, people change their worldview. They change the way that
Oh,
they
no, it
think.
doesn't matter.
Nothing to see here.
Wait,
Nothing to see here is Pinky's.
NASA is so stupid, and to go back on
Well, hold
all
on.
those videos he did, the dude with the one with the sword, where
You
he
gotta
said,
be
"This is
kidding
my
me.
sword." That one, oh my god, that was for
No, it would be
hours
like
to make fun of it.
imagine tomorrow I convert to flat Earth, right? And
Please
I
don't.
go and
Please don't.
okay, I probably won't. Let's
What
say I
is
convert over.
converting? What does
Nobody's
that
going to
even
be
mean?
like, oh my gosh, this guy said that he would never convert. Like, right? You guys would all be like, oh, it's so cool that you've like
No, dude,
seen
this
the
is
light.
not
No,
comparable.
Don't
I'd be
interrupt.
like,
Hey, I'm not. I was in the middle of talking.
Well,
Nobody's
so
going to say
was
that.
I,
You're going to
and
be
you
like,
guys all
oh,
lost shit.
okay.
You know?
Nobody's going to say like, oh, this guy's, now he's dishonest. You're going to be like, oh, he just found a new way to think. Now he sees things through our lens and our perspective, and he just thinks differently, right?
Okay.
So give that
No.
same grace
No,
to
not
Jerry.
at all. Zero
Okay, so
chance that would ever happen with me. I would never think that you were
Okay.
genuine if you switched. Not
Let's
for a
let's do
fucking
this.
millisecond.
Let's look at this. Let's look at this as if it's Jaren was a plant the whole time. So what NASA does is they get Jaren to be a plant. He pretends to be a flat earther. He does that for all those years, and then he agrees to go to the Antarctic trip by TFE. Then he's before he goes, he says, "If I say that the flat Earth is wrong and NASA is true, then I have been compromised." Right? And then he comes back and says that the Earth is not flat and that what NASA says is true. Why would he say that? Why would he say, if I say this, I will be compromised? So that everyone in flat Earth says, oh, look, he's compromised. That wouldn't be part
To
of the
let you
script.
know. Yeah,
It
to
wouldn't
let
be
you
part of the
know. That's
script.
called.
It wouldn't be
You
part
don't
of
get
the
it. You
script.
still don't get it, dude.
No flat earther who thinks the final experiment is fake. Fake based on what? Based on what model? Based on
You
what
gotta find
system
them.
of?
You
Hold
got
on one
to
second.
find
Hold
them,
on one
dude.
second.
You
Hold on one
gotta
second.
find them if you want to
Hold
argue with
on
them.
1 second. Based on
You
what
gotta find
model?
an
What
opponent to argue with
system
somebody.
of predictability? Who
He's
are
talking
these
about flat
flat
Earth, not
earthers?
you.
Where are they getting this information from? Okay, so the
Go
20
ask them, dude.
Where
Why do you
are
do
these
this?
flat earthers? Who's telling a flat earther how the sun should behave in Antarctica? How do you know?
Hey, Gatebreaker, can I ask you a question?
Yes, go ahead.
Gatebreaker, can I ask you a question? Dude, how much is like TFE is fake? How much is it like out there that you've seen and like other channels like, well, I guess like Banjo, like some of these guys are into it, but like how big is it?
The majority of the
out there?
flat earth, the mainstream
From
like
your viewpoint.
Instagram and stuff that
From your
I see,
viewpoint.
just from what I'm
How much
seeing,
of like, yeah, let's say
just
flat Earth
from what
type
I'm
stuff.
seeing, if I see a video and it's like the majority of the comments are like it's fake, the TFE's fake. The majority of the comments.
If you get someone new in here, you get someone new that's never been in this server, and that's a Glober, and you say, what are the flat earthers saying about TFE? And you get 20 Globers coming in here, all of them will say they're saying that TFE is fake.
If I was a flat earther, I would kind of ponder this a little bit. It's like he's making a good point. What flat Earth model? What's the reason that these guys think it's fake? Besides that pixel and that cloud looks the same. Why does it have these people? You see what I'm saying?
When people claimed it was
'cause
fake
there's
before they even
anomalies
went.
that they can't explain, right? They found anomalies they can't explain, they can't rationalize, therefore they don't believe it. It's that simple. Like if somebody walked them through it and said, all right, your point of contention is this little artifact thing or this whatever it might be. Look, this is exactly what caused it. I could break it down for you step by step. I would think, all right, well, they're either being reasonable or unreasonable, depending on the level of evidence provided to them.
Look,
right? There are some anomalies. We can't ignore that.
A TFE denier, I'm just making up numbers here. 95% if you ask them, do you have a model? Not only will they not have one, and they'll get offended by you asking that. But shouldn't one have some kind of setup that tells them that, okay, so there should not be a 24-hour sun there? But it's not. It's just this open slate. It's fake because it has to be. And what's worse is I'd understand if it's like, the moon thing, bunch of globers get on. It's attacking your own.
Well, I don't really know if there
understand.
is a your own in this. Like we're all in this together, really. I think the thing about a planar Earth is it implies that we're all like literally like on the same level, as it were, and like metaphorically, symbolically, and so yeah,
Attacking your own
there
would be
doesn't
like
really
flat
have to be
earthers
like
attacking Witsit.
people against one another. Everyone's just on their own journey at the end of the day.
Attacking your own would be like Witsit would be a household name. He would join anywhere and people would join and love to hear him, rightfully so, because I enjoy listening to Witsit. Is that same person went to Antarctica. They recorded the video and he reported back what he saw. And that same person that people loved, the majority of the community, he's a shill, he's sold out, he's lying to us. Fuck Witsit. Based on what? Okay, I'm repeating myself. If no one catches it, then it is what it is.
Well, I don't think that really happened. Some people did though. I guess a few. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, he got attacked a lot. They both did. They all did in a way. Yeah, there was attacks and
Credit
stuff.
while we're giving credit, I'm going to give credit to Geo also because he's been quite consistent. I don't think anyone could go back and say people in the server, Geo specifically, has said that if the sun doesn't set or whatever, then it's a globe and there's nothing we could do about it. I don't think I've heard that in here, and I've been in here quite a while. So credit where it's due.
Well, I never claimed
but
there
it's
wasn't.
behind the members only now, by the way.
Who's what?
I found where he says it, but it's behind the members only. All I have is the transcript from it now.
Oh, okay. Oh, Jaren.
Has he explained
says-
why the shift in perspective?
Can I read this? Hold on.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, please do.
But there's some people out there who know specific trigger words, specific things that I've told them that will tell them I'm compromised. There's two of us down there. There should be two of us. That would be weird, so they have to MK Ultra both of us. That's all I see. That's all I can get because it's behind the members only.
Is Master Witsit showing signs of being MK'd?
No.
Why
No.
can he not have gone there and there was
Curious.
a 24-hour sun and he's not lying?
No, I think they did go down there. They did see a 24-hour sun, and I think Jaren is actually compromised.
Based on what?
Well, hold on. With this,
I have
in
no
this
idea.
server,
Well,
what he
okay.
could be
Well, maybe if you have an
compromised
idea.
off. Or
He
based
is-
on
he is-
why I think he is, because there's certain things that he took a complete 180 on, including things that he used to argue with Witsit on the other side. Like, specifically.
Have you seen his video that he made on a multi-part series going into detail what all
You mean
he's wrong
Unplugged?
about and why he changes his mind?
Yeah.
There you have. That's your answer. Is that not good enough?
Wait, can we let
Could
these finish?
could
He was
hypothetically
on a roll
I
possibly
don't
there.
know. Gaterbreaker is just like, stop, dude. Like, what